Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking a look at a brand new analysis of Tennessee's housing market. And let me tell you, the findings are pretty stark. They paint a picture of a market that hasn't just changed a little bit, it's fundamentally and maybe even permanently different.
All right, so let's get right into it. The report kicks off with this one really powerful word to describe the housing market: calcified. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's suggesting that the crazy high prices and the fact that it's so hard to afford a house, that's not just some temporary blip. It's actually hardened, like bone, into a permanent part of the system.
So, calcified. It's a strong word. But what does it actually mean for, regular people on the ground trying to find a place to live? Well, thankfully, the analysis breaks it down for us with a really clear definition. Okay, so here it is. The report says a calcified housing gap is a market where high home prices are basically stuck and they're completely disconnected from what people are actually earning. You know that hope that maybe, just maybe, prices would cool off and come back down to meet what people's paychecks can handle? Yeah, that's not happening. The prices are just locked in, way up high, at a level that most of the state's workforce just can't touch.
And to really show us just how big this problem is, the report doesn't just use words like calcified. Nope, it puts a number on it. It quantifies the exact size of this affordability gap. And honestly, the number is pretty staggering.
Get this. There is a nearly $50,000 gap. Let me say that again, $50,000 between what the median household in Tennessee makes and the income they would actually need to afford a medium-priced home.
And this chart, wow, this really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, just look at the bar for what people are earning versus the bar for what they need to earn to buy a home. It is a massive, massive chasm. It's not even in the same ballpark. So here's the bottom line. This isn't some small gap you can close by, cutting back on lattes. To bridge this divide, the typical household would need a 72% raise. 72%. I mean, that's almost their whole salary again. The report calls this an entrenching barrier, and that's the perfect word for it. It just locks people out of ever owning a home.
Okay, so the big question is why? Why is this gap so huge and so stubborn? Well, the analysis digs into that and points to three main reasons it's not just fixing itself. First up, incomes. The data shows that paychecks in Tennessee just aren't growing as fast as the rest of the country. So you've got this double whammy. Home prices are stuck up high, and at the same time, local wages are falling behind. It's like trying to run a race where the finish line keeps moving further away. Reason number two? Location, location, location. This problem isn't the same everywhere in the state. It's especially bad in Middle Tennessee. I mean, look at Davidson County. You need to earn almost double the local median income to buy a house there. And then there's Williamson County. We're talking home prices in the upper 700,000s. The report basically calls it a de facto luxury enclave, which is just a fancy way of saying only the very wealthy can afford to live there. And the third piece of the puzzle is the tough spot renters are in. It's a compounding problem. First off, there are 50% fewer affordable rental units than there were just 10 years ago. On top of that, they're getting hit with higher indirect tax costs, so how are you supposed to save for a down payment? The report puts it bluntly, for most renters, it's mathematically implausible. In other words, the numbers just don't work at all. So when you put all of this together, lagging wages, these super expensive hotspots, and the impossible situation for renters, it's clear this isn't something that's just going to go away. The analysis is very direct. Waiting for the market to magically fix itself, that's not a real plan. So what's the answer? What does the data say we should do? The conclusion here is pretty cut and dry. The market is not going to self-correct, period. The analysis argues that the only credible path forward is through active policy intervention. And it doesn't just leave it at that. It points to three very specific, high-impact things that could actually make a difference. And here's the game plan they lay out. It's basically a three-pronged attack. Step one, fix the zoning laws. A lot of the rules make it hard to build enough houses, so the idea is to reform those to increase the supply, especially where it's needed most. Step two, incentivize starter homes. We need to encourage builders to construct smaller, more affordable houses, not just the big, expensive ones that bring in the highest profit. And step three, create some tax equity for renters. We need to ease their burdens so they actually have a fighting chance to save up for a down payment. So, after all that data, all those numbers and charts, what's the final takeaway? Where does this analysis of Tennessee's housing market leave us? Well, it ends with a very clear and honestly pretty sobering final thought. The report closes with this really stark warning. It says that without real, coordinated action on the policy front, this affordability gap, it's not going to narrow. It's not a storm you just wait out. It's on track to simply become a permanent condition, a permanent feature of the state's entire economy. And that really leaves us with one final and kind of tough question to chew on. Is this the new normal? Without a big shift in how we approach this, is this deep structural affordability crisis just what it's like to live in Tennessee now? Based on all the data we've just seen, the report seems to suggest the answer is, unfortunately, yes.